Hello and welcome to my project for AP Environmental Science. I did my project on hydroponics to try to switch away from the irrigation that we do traditionally that wastes very much water. More than half the water doesn't even get to the plants itself. Now, aquaponics uses the same water over and over again to feed the plants and uses the fish's waste in the water as food for the plants to grow your own crops or any other plants you would need. Oops, wrong page. Now, my hypothesis was to create a relatively cheap and easy project hydroponic system that would allow people to use them in their homes and to get them away from their dependency on the wasteful ways of the crops they get from the wasteful irrigation. Now, the roots of this hydroponics to use fish, goes back to early Asian and South American civilizations. Aztecs created chinapas. They used nutrient-rich mud and water from canals. Now, in my experiment, I had pebbles, a pump, tubing, a tote for the water for the fish, porous rock or gravel to retain some of the water for the plants, and a shelving for the plants to grow on, and of course, the seeds. I had grown 4 blue tomato plants, 2 tumbler tomato, celery, oregano, and some other spice plant. I was lucky enough to have a guy at a hydroponic shop grow these for me, and I picked them up about a week later. First, I had to wash out the pebbles to get any nasty grime or any other chemicals off the rock in the porous rock. I started with 8 feeder fish in the tank to use their waste from their ammonia and phosphorus to feed the plants. I had bought the gravel and porous rock, cost me about $25. The shelving, which was given to me for the project. Plants, which was also given to me. The fish, they ate fish for $2. The fish food was $5. A chemical to clean the tap water of the chemicals in the tap water was $7. The tubing was $10. The pump was $20. The tote for the water and the fish was $15. The wire I scavenged, the wire that were on the tubing to stop from any pebbles or any other larger material to get through. And my time and effort was about 4 hours. And I also bought a timer for the pump that cost me $20. Wrong one again. Oops. So my results were this. My plants grew, but sadly I did not have any crops due to the lack of a sunlight light bulb. I didn't have the right kind of light bulb to grow the actual crops themselves, sadly. So during the duration, I noticed the plants weren't growing very well, so I had moved the lights closer, which they were in the ceiling. So I ended up hanging them down with some rope closer to the plants, allowing it to represent more of a sunlight lighting in nature. The plants then grew almost triple in their height. They grew exponentially. Also, I realized I was drowning the plants in the water because all the water would not drain out. So I had raised up some of the plants above the water level, allowing it to, when the water drained out enough, to reach down and try to get the water and the nutrients, allowing the roots to spread out. I also used a fan that had blown the plants to make the stems stronger, to act like wind in nature. My results, however, 2 of the plants had died. Celery, and I'm not sure, it was either one oregano or the cilantro. I had bought new fish during the duration of the project also. So instead of 8, I had 16, but one had died during the project. Rest in peace, Nick Jr. One of the 7 plants actually grew the crop. The only plant that grew the crop was the spice plant. I ended up spending $105 on the project, which was not as cheap as I had wanted it to be, but still relatively cheap. So my conclusion, this project helped give the community more knowledge into how to create their own home, their own food at home indoors, without soil or a large mess, and not using much space, and to create a system to grow food without fertilizer and by only having to feed the fish every day. Now this was not as wasteful as irrigation, which we would have been dependent on, because it recycled the water every time it ran through the system. And that's my project. Here's the rocks, the pebbles, the rocks, pump and tubing, the shelving system, and the tote, my little fishies, and what it came to look like. These 2 plants down here died from not getting enough light. There was 3 plants down here. 1, 2, 3. 2 of them died. This one survived and was moved up here. But the celery and the other spice plant had died. And that is my project.